My wife said, what would you really like? And I said, I would love to have a toy store. So my wife said, you know what? Because I am a really large collector of toys, and I have a house full of toys that I've collected. So it was always in my blood to do this.
Welcome to Second Act Stories, a Webby Award-nominated podcast that looks at people who've made major life and career changes and are pursuing more rewarding lives in a second act. I'm your host, Andy Levine.
And I'm Andy's co-host today, Scott Merritt. So Andy, for today's episode, you did something that I know I haven't done in a long time, and I'm sure you hadn't either. You visited a toy store.
It was great to be back in a toy store. I got to travel up to Red Bank, New Jersey, about a half hour from my home, and I got to visit with Bruce and Mira Brach. They are a husband and wife team. They are owners of Toy Utopia, a small independent toy store that they launched together 2 years ago.
I know I'm not alone in this, how much I love doing business with locally owned companies and stores. So this is right up my alley. Tell us about what they were doing before they opened Toy Utopia.
So Mira was and continues to work as a nurse, although she's a part-time nurse now. Bruce ran his own landscaping company for 25 plus years, but he also was and is an avid toy collector, which is where the idea for Toy Utopia first emerged.
Well, that makes total sense. I would imagine that you would have to be a toy fanatic to want to open a toy store. So what a great lead in. And here's Bruce and Mira Brach's second act story.
How did the two of you meet?
Oh, it's a long story, but I finished college. I became a teacher back home in former Czechoslovakia, Slovakia.
Okay.
And I didn't speak English very well. I wanted to travel, learn English. I came to United States, and I got a job in the Toms River area, which is taking care of elderly people. Bruce was at that time living with his grandmother in Toms River, started his new business in landscaping.
Okay.
And he had friends that actually knew the people I was taking care of. And they really liked me, so they wanted to introduce Bruce to me, even though we were not looking for any
Right.
any relationship. And after several months, I hear the knock on the door. This is a tall gentleman just walk in and introduce himself as a Bruce. And Bruce, you can add what happened next.
Yes. We just looked at each other, and I said, wow, what a nice girl. And she probably said, what a nice guy. And we started seeing each other.
Excellent. Okay. Good. Now, how long before you got married?
That was 2 years.
Mira's career took a bunch of twists and turns. She got her teaching certificate, but then ultimately took a job as a data manager with a large pharmaceutical company. In addition to raising 2 children, Mira went back to school and earned an advanced nursing degree. Bruce's path was a bit simpler.
My grandmother was living alone. It's in Toms River. And what happened was she needed someone to take care of her. And I said, you know what, Grandma, I will take care of you, and I will find a job in the area and help you, okay? I looked for a year. I did not find anything that I liked. So what I did was I said, listen, I'm going to start my own business. I really enjoy landscaping. I picked up a couple of tools. I started, and before you know it, I was doing landscaping all over the place and just started growing and growing and growing. I worked in landscaping for probably 25 years. I really enjoyed the landscaping business. And like I said, I met my wife, and it was just absolutely wonderful.
What was the name of your company?
It was called Cut Above the Rest Landscaping. I really enjoyed it. And but there came a point where I said, you know what, I've done enough of this, and I wanted to move on. And that's why I started, my wife said, well, what would you really like to do? And I said, I would love to have a toy store. And that's when we started looking for a toy store and seeing what we could do and finding the information on it.
Okay. So you're doing this for 25 years, you said?
Yes.
And did you enjoy it?
I did. I loved landscaping. I really did. I really enjoyed working with the elderly people because they really needed it. I was very fair and honest. You don't see that. I loved it. Sure, your body, you can only last so long. I mean, it's just the way it is. And your body starts wearing out. I mean, my body hurts a little bit, but I didn't want to get to a point where I was crippled or anything. And just mentally, too. It was just time for a change. That's all.
Gotcha.
I had a very, very supportive wife that helped me go through this and do something that I really loved. That's what it was all about.
And that's where Mira stepped in.
My wife said, "What would you really like?" And I said, "I would love to have a toy store." So my wife said, "You know what? Because I am a really large collector of toys, and I have a house full of toys that I've collected. So it was always in my blood to do this."
Go back to your toy collection.
Yes.
When did you start collecting? What do you
Ever
think?
since I was a little boy, you have children where they break their toys, and I never did. I always saved my toys. I always collected them. My parents were good enough to let me keep them. So I started collecting different things like that, older toys like remote control cars and trains and planes. And luckily, my wife was good enough to let me do this, okay? But what's great about having a toy store, too, now is that I can take some of this collection that I always had, and I can bring it to the store, and you just sprinkle it around and make it interesting in the store.
So, Mira, just give us a sense of how much of his stuff is littered about your home. Is it very organized in the garage, or is this stuff all over the place? I mean, what does it look like in your house?
We used to... we moved 7 years ago, so actually better area but smaller house. So it's more challenging now. He's got a spare bedroom when he has all his things. We're lucky now in the store we have a section and he can put his collectibles in the back. But prior to that, he had full basement, finished basement. We had all things neatly organized, and we eventually, in an older house, we added almost 3 sheds.
So you bring up this idea, I'd really like to open a toy store. And Mira, your reaction to that is?
I believe it was August 2021. There was a big trade show, Astra, in Minneapolis. And I said, you know what, Bruce, let's just explore this idea. So I recruited my daughter, Sophia. She joined us, and we traveled to Minneapolis. It was one of the largest shows, trade shows, toy shows. Great amount of people, independent toy store owners, retailers, and they had also great presentations. Even for people like me starting a new business, I learned quite a bit. I spoke with many people, and I started looking into it more deeply, did more research. It was the post-COVID era, and there was a big surge in toy business, and that's what eventually I enjoyed really this research part.
What is your vision for Toy Utopia? What do you want this place to be? What are you trying to do here?
We're trying to make the most unique toy store that kids can come in and really enjoy it. Not only a toy store, but a toy store that you could learn from. We have many toys that you learn from here. So that was one of the things we really wanted to do. We want to just evolve and really work with our community of Red Bank and enjoy it. I mean, I love to see the kids. I want it to be where the people can walk in and really enjoy, make it a destination. Mm-hmm, this is so important that they could come to this place and really find something unique and really find something really that the children can learn and enjoy and just have a great day.
The biggest challenge faced by Bruce and Mira is the same one faced by nearly every independent retailer in the country, a company called Amazon.
What we found out as small business owners, especially independent stores, it's extremely difficult to compete with major retailers, and especially Amazon, because just no way. Many times our wholesale prices, I don't know if I can detail like this, wholesale prices almost the same what they're selling for. Sure. And maybe that's what's helping us too, to go in that niche area to find maybe toys. It's hard to find, maybe, sure, almost everything you can find online, but it may be more difficult to get for the customers. Help us a little bit to differentiate us from these major retailers, online stores as well.
But just go into that for a moment. I mean, you're a beautiful store here, but you're tiny compared to an Amazon or something like that. So what is your edge in competing with a large online retailer?
Service.
Okay.
What I mean by service is when the people come in, we help them. We educate them on toys. We show them different paths they can go down. We take care of them. We make sure that they know we're here for them. Like I said, we do all type of nice individual things like wrapping and we make sure that they
Building.
get building. We also, like, if something happens and they have a problem with it, they can always bring it back to us. And I am very handy. Like I said, I had toys, and so I can fix things, so I can help them with something.
What are some of the biggest challenges you've faced over the past 2 years? And I'll direct that to whoever wants to take that
Go
one.
ahead, hon, take it.
So, as we said, we try to keep the fair prices, which is very challenging, but sure, we have some unique things that are better quality, and that's the thing. People always say, why the toy stores are dying? What's happening? And we want a good quality, special toys for Christmas, for the birthdays. The challenge, unfortunately, what we have in our location, it's specific. It's parking.
Yes.
Parking is becoming more and more a challenge because, fortunately or unfortunately, today everything is experience, convenience, and it requires for a customer, and especially with children, it's a cold weather or it's raining, walking. So the parking, and we don't have any parking spot dedicated to our toy store.
So how do you divide the labors between the two of you? What do you do, Bruce? Bruce, what do you do, Mira?
Well, I got to be honest with you. My wife is this store, okay? I mean, yes, I have some things. I'm a collector, yes. But my wife is very, very good on the computer. She does quite a bit of work. And thank goodness, because I'm not very good on a computer. But she does quite a bit. I'd say she does at least 80% of the work. Okay. I try my hardest to do what I can do. I want to be helpful as much as I can. But no, she does most of the work.
It's a lot of work, research. Bruce helps me as well. His opinions, values a lot. And we need to switch a share. He helped me organize the store. I'm a little tech savvy and always help me work in research. So yes, it's natural to me. So that part, I'll take care of it. Obviously, we grow more. I wish I had a clone, or maybe eventually will be part-time employee help me to do the entry, or I do obviously bookkeeping as well. So it's challenging. I do a lot of duties, but we are lucky. We have great kids, and my daughter Sophia, she helps, especially during the summer.
Is Toy Utopia a profitable venture at this point? You're obviously in your early stages, and how would you, without giving me too many details? I'm just curious.
So right now, no, we're not. Yeah, we still we paying our bills, which even for new business and its environment, it's challenge. So right now we're not profitable. We're paying our bills, business, but that's something we need to think about it because right now we put a lot of effort. It's our baby. We'll see the elevating situation as it goes. We're planning to go online. It's just a matter of survival now. So we will be going online. We'll hopefully start processing within several months. So that's our next goal.
You've talked, Mira, about a couple of things that you took from your particularly work in research that have been useful and helpful here. I'm curious, are there things from your work in landscaping that have been helpful to your work here?
You know what? There actually is. And it's patience. It's the biggest thing. I worked with elderly people, okay? I think really the patience to listen to people, the work ethic to work really hard. Because when you have your own business, you have to work really hard. You have to work twice as hard as someone else that's working for someone. So I have those two things that help me. I'm creative. I like to build. I like to do things like that. I'm good with my hands. Like you said, I can wrap things really well. Well, of course, but so that's a great thing that I've taken into this business.
It sounds to me like you get a great deal of joy out of seeing kids in the store and discovering things.
I do. I mean, when the kids come in and they light up and they can actually touch something and try something, that makes my day. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Andy, that is such another cool, local, interesting story. I love these diamonds that you find that are just kind of littered around that have these amazing inspirational stories. I'm in love with Bruce and Mira. So, as you can imagine, I have some questions, but
of course.
But I think you mentioned off mic that you had a story that you wanted to share.
Yes, and so here goes. When I asked Bruce about the joy the store brings him, he started to tell me his story, but was overcome with emotion and couldn't finish it. I actually tried multiple times to get this on tape, but I wasn't able to. But later on, as I was leaving Toy Utopia and all the recording equipment was turned off, he told me the full story, and I want to share it with you. So Bruce had brought a prized toy from his collection into the store. It was an old Radio Shack remote control car, still in its original packaging. A man in his 30s walked into the store with his wife. When he saw the toy, he burst into tears. He picked up the toy and started hugging it. So Bruce went over to ask if everything was okay.
Wow.
And here's the story that emerged.
Okay.
The man shared that when he was 8 years old, he saw the exact same toy in Radio Shack, but he didn't have enough money to buy it. He went home, and over the next week, he worked all sorts of different odd jobs to come up with the money for the car. When he finally returned to the store the following weekend, with the money in hand, the toy was gone. The manager had promised to save it for him, but another store associate had sold it.
Of course.
So that day, the man finally got to purchase the toy he had dreamed about owning something like 25 years earlier. And Bruce told me, that's why I love running this store.
And what's really interesting about that is that this was also a prized toy from his own collection. And the fact that he was willing to part with it speaks volumes for the emotional reaction that customer had.
It was a cool story. I wish I had it on tape, but I'm glad I can share it with our audience now.
Yeah, well, that's actually a really interesting lead-in to a question that I had. So what does success look like for them?
I think, continuing to do what they're doing, maybe building it up so they can get, right now it's literally the two of them working in it, and they have a daughter and son that help in the summers and that sort of thing. I think getting some additional help and enough revenue to support that, and they will be pretty happy.
Well, I guess they're just proof that a second act isn't always about being a financial second act, right? It can be about just finding that passion and finding a way to feed that passion. I love it. I love it. I love it.
We like to say money is no substitute for purpose.
Absolutely not. So it sounds like that's a wrap for today. If you do have someone you think we should interview for the podcast, please let us know. Go to secondactstories.org, click on the Nominate a Guest box in the upper right-hand corner of the homepage. We'd love to hear from you.
We hope you'll keep listening. There are more Second Act stories just around the corner.